Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. All praise due to the Lord of the worlds. I wanted to take some time out of my day and to speak about how pretty much every day I wake up in this life, alongside what has to be done throughout the day, there is this constant fascination of like, yo, my species doesn't even know where it is, you know? And it's rather a curiosity of how much of life is fiction and how much of life is non-fiction. But to first acknowledge the title, I even have a notepad here. Why? Because I'm not just giving you a lecture, I am literally like a miner. This notepad in my hand is my pickaxe. And what am I doing? I am mining unknown mountains. Am I looking for treasure? No. I am trying to see how far the efforts of the species can go. So if you're a human being that is fascinated by the potential of how great humanity can be, this lecture is worth listening to. So, I'll start from here. So, masterpieces crafted by greatness. By the way, guys, you're listening to a sci-fi. I'm a sci-fi writer, but I am also Muslim. And in 2014, pretty much, I decided to give 10,000 talks, and you're hearing one of them now. Pretty much, I want to make it clear that to me, the idea that there's a system admin to reality is exceptional and fascinating. It was daunting at first, but it became fascinating. So masterpieces crafted by greatness. And something else I need to say is I'm also a visual thinker. So the way I'm using language, it's like I'm this being and I'm seeing something, and in accordance to what I'm seeing, I'm giving words to it and communicating to you. Now you may ask, Mr. Within, where are you seeing this? And I would say I am seeing this in what I am calling my inner sight. We all have it, right? There's way more to this world than the opinion, than just what a bunch of people said in a certain point in history. What I mean by this is that the limitations of a logical mind, it's as if logic is not an issue. The fact that the world is a fictitious narrative created by 8 billion organisms that freaked out when they realized how massive this system is, and in some sense were bestowed with the task of realizing that not only they are intelligent, not only there's others that are intelligent, not only is there an intelligent activities of the world going, celestial movements and whatnot, but to realize that intelligence and consciousness has dealings with its owner. What does this mean? This means that just like how you go to work and that place is owned by the company, right? And it's like there's a system administration going on in there. It has not occurred to humanity. It has occurred, but it has not collectively 100% occurred to the human species. That we are allowing fiction to slow down progress, and that is a modern sin. So let me explain what I mean by this, right? Because there's ways that it, like what I'm saying, can be countered. Like it's like martial arts. When you make a move, you get to see the other spaces where you haven't made a move. So I'm just gonna first dive into the sentences. Masterpieces crafted by greatness. So the word masterpiece is very important. It means it means the greatest outcome. It means the masterful assembly of all the pieces. So masterpieces means like a genius design crafted by greatness. So it's as if I want you to consider that we have three things to look at, let's say, three archetypal positions. What are these three archetypal positions? We have one, the position of self. Most human beings are self-obsessed. This is not something to shun. It's just like we have to survive. We have to maintain our position. But the consideration has to be, it's like, what are we trading off? What is the opportunity cost of self-worship? What is the opportunity cost of world worship? So I'll tell you. So think of it this way, that one angle is self, one angle is others, one angle is the world. These are the three angles, okay? So when we think of it, let's start with the world. We look at this world and we're like, wow, look at this world. It's a masterpiece. There's design in the middle of nowhere. This is an HS moment, you know? So the world is a masterful design. We cannot ignore. The world is a masterful design. It's a masterpiece. And so it's crafted by greatness. What is the world created by? It is in some sense created by the system admin. What is the world? It's an existential system. What is the self? It is a member. What are others? They can be members or they could be mods. What are mods? They are higher positions in this world. What is the game of reality? I used to think that it was just 8 billion human beings on a rock in the middle of nowhere, spinning in the middle of nowhere. It's like 8 billion creatures in an empty room. But then I realized, no. It's not that we're just here in the middle of nowhere naming everything from scratch. It's actually that there is an administrative, that there is a system, that there are souls, and souls have ranks. And as a Muslim, I can tell you that before the soul was born in the womb, all souls were present in a realm called Alam al-Arwah, which is in some sense the realm of the souls. And so it's like souls of the same rank knew each other. So if you're here on this planet and suddenly you don't get along with someone, it's as if off rank, souls have been misplaced. Now, does this mean we know our rank? No. The incredible thing I've discovered that in Islam is like the in some sense the backup system it has for the ego is in some sense if a Muslim wanted to know what the soul is said in the Quran that in the holy book, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says the soul is the secret of God. And the Prophet in the Hadith says the soul had ranks in Alam al-Arwah. So if you are a soul, the soul is a secret of God. That means you can't know the depths of your soul. So it's as if life is not just about knowing what you are. That could be ignorance. It could be about playing your role, playing your part. And enlightenment could be in some sense whether attained through faith or other means. It's just the realization that it's working. You are inside a movement. You don't realize it because you've paced reality in accordance to how you feel. Let me tell you the traps that the human being may find himself in. It's like world worship. You're trapped in a world. You're trapped by others in others' minds. Your attention is constantly on others. And then there's yourself. You can be trapped by yourself. So when I wrote the title, Masterpieces Crafted by Greatness, I envisioned that we are privileged as beings to have access to a system and not having the system be an empty room, because that's boring. And in some sense, what it is in some sense there is an intelligent interaction. It's about the role of the human being, and it's not really hard to figure it out. When you look at all the other species, what they can do, and when you look at what the human species can do, and when you see the ability of the human species not to be able to notice itself as an individual, not able to just notice others as individuals, but to in some sense capable to notice the whole world. So this ability causes man to be an entity that can, in an organized, capable to understand fashion, right, interpret reality. And in their interpretations of reality, they said hard work, but it's not just about hard work. It's about divine decree. There are matters beyond us. So you see, my psychology, when before it was like, oh my God, I'm a human being. Human lifespan's 100 years. In 100 years, how do I advance civilization? How is it even possible? And if I don't advance civilization, then I did not live for the greatest vision. But then I had this view. But then I came to realize that I was self-worshipping because I had given the burden of saving the world to myself. My savior complex was a subconscious hidden self-worship on the other side of the coin. So then I in some sense felt imprisoned and limited by a self and the expectation of that self for its future. And when I renounced it all, there came only the one and only, the true presence of reality, God alone. It was as if for the first time in my life, I had become tired of the fool I had been. And I was like, I didn't create this world. That's why I don't understand it. Therefore, I acknowledged the system admin, and that changed my life. That means little did I realize that the simplification of who I am was left me reaching an individualized egoic complexity. But the task of advancing civilization is an unignorable one. Like, we can't ignore it. Who are we kidding? We're heading there. They're like, yo man, we can't talk about the boat, how it's gonna land at harbor, how it's gonna arrive at harbor, at port, right? If there's rocks or something near the beach. And we're like, no, let's not worry about that, man, because we got 30 more days until we get there. It's a matter of urgency. And your class, I think, is based on what your soul is drawn to. If somebody says, Mr. Within, how do you see humanity simulation-wise? I would say I see it in some sense as a video game, this world. I consider this world as an admin. I consider to complete this video game is not about suddenly not wanting to be a character anymore. It's about being a character, but realizing as I'm being a character in the video game of life, why is the video game of life here? How is it here? And once you see the intensity of the potential of the answer, right, you kind of in some sense get goosebumps to the degree that you realize, okay, there is the presence of a mighty designer. And to believe in God as a Muslim, do you understand what it means? It means that there is no one who can intercede. It is truly just by divine decree. That means we, as human beings, look at this world. We're like, yo, it's a system, but the system admin had to be beyond the world in order to create the system. So what it means is that I am part of that team that is wearing the jersey that is saying, I rather worship that which is beyond the world, because if I worship that which is in the world, which includes self, other, and the world, I am bound to infinite loops. Like, it's not just like, yo man, I solved an equation, did I finish life? It's like, no. You have to realize we as beings have an ability to communicate. Do you understand what that means? I didn't understand this when I was shy, right? But when you actually analyze it, you realize shyness is weird. It's like an illness. You know? Because it's unnecessary. Because the future self will regret what it could have been that whole time. You see, it's the regret of how advanced we could have been. And it's like one part, man has to go forth. The other part, God has to be like, all right, human being. All right, humanity. Divine decree authorized. Advance in the sight of God. The system admin beyond the system. The uncaused started the cause. If we follow the infinite regress fallacy through the philosophical lens that everything that is caused must have a creator from before, we come to it as a fallacy by being like, wait a minute, that means God had to have a God, had to have a God, had to have a God. The only possible modality is that God is uncaused. We are standing in the presence of the greatness of the original power of the realm. We, as the human species, has to advance in the sense of increasing its intelligent interaction levels. What does this mean? Your intelligent interaction level could be with yourself. It could be with others. It could be with the world. It could even go to domains of the inner realms. But the inner realms are not to be too much touched with. And what it is, at least for a Muslim, I realize this, right? That in some sense it is similar to the notion of ignorance. It's kind of like if you go too much with the rhythm, you might not know what rhythm you're going with. We are living in three worlds. I shouldn't say it like that. There's three narratives to consider. This is my opinion, okay? So first narrative, what do we do with 8 billion bodies on Earth? The idea is we build, we update. That's it. We build stuff. We are active. We activate. So physically go do stuff. Right? And the greatest thing you can do is serve the greatness of your realm by first acknowledging the greatness of its creator, and then the greatness of the created, and even the greatness of those who have fallen into ignorance, because even how they have fallen to ignorance is great. You see, it's the might of an appreciation of a reality where you're giving it, guys, I'm honestly speaking as if I have truly given my allegiance to the one and only God. What does that mean? That means I was like, whoa, the creator has been here the whole time. The system is being administered. I had noticed the invisible workings of it since childhood. How people would suddenly have thoughts, how people would say something, how someone would do something and something would happen, how suddenly a parent would get egotistical and their child would break something. Do you know? How everything is synchronized in ways that we can understand later, but not until it's happened. To advance humanity. What greater honor is there? Who we kidding? What's left? What's left? Pretty much we serve ourselves, we serve others, and then we serve the world, and then we realize we're inside a conditional system, then we serve the unconditional, which was the service to all of them. It's as if life doesn't begin until you just notice, acknowledge the system admin. Until then, it's as if you're not considering where you are. It's like a bunch of beings that have suddenly appeared somewhere. They're not even considering where they are. Right? They're just continuing on, just distracted by their environment, not realizing why is it here at all. Could it be that we are being tested? Could it be that reality is a performance? Could it be that in some sense we require these ethical virtues and values, and we require to unify humanity in some sense to bring forth the next epoch? You see, the stars are glowing brighter than they used to. The stars are in some sense singing to mankind. They are singing of their creator. The light of this world is a privilege to contact the designer. Like, see, the person let's say, the most immediate way to contact the director, if somebody was like Mr. Within, is there a speed dial way to contact the director? I would say, if you truly feel you're in an uncontrollable situation in life, just go ask forgiveness from God. That's it. Just go to the system admin and sincerely acknowledge you're not worshiping a worldly form. You're not worshiping a person. You're not worshiping an object. You're not worshiping a symbol. You're not worshiping any of these. You're just acknowledging that the original creator of the realm never went anywhere. The uncaused, nothing could happen to it, but the cause became an effect. And now the effect is sophisticated enough to wonder about its cause. This world, like, I don't know how to tell you, but it's as imperfect as we consider it and as perfect as we consider it, but ultimately the design work that's gone into existence is too sophisticated. That means the body, you look at the design of the biological system, so perfect in regards to the nose, mouth, and how close it is to the brain and the heart, and just the whole anatomy of the human being is like mind-blowing, right? You're like, yo, look at how perfect this is. Look at how, like, the bees spreading like pollen and all of this, like all of this. You see all these advanced systems, and then we get despair. Why? Despair is man-made. Despair is man-made. It's like, it's ignorance. So anyways, I've pretty much spoken about this. Masterpieces crafted by greatness. And now I'm going to get to the second part. So the second part is a dialogue I had with ChatGPT. And there's information here that I'm like, this is important information, let's share it. Pretty much I asked ChatGPT what are the three most advanced human activities in the future? Just to be a human being to have said it, I think I'm the first maybe. But anyways. Interstellar pilot. Role: operating spacecraft capable of faster than light travel to explore distant star systems. Tasks: navigating complex interstellar routes, managing onboard life support systems for extended journeys, conducting scientific research on unexplored planets and space phenomena. You see, that's an interstellar pilot. That means we're going to be so advanced beyond the Earth in the far future. And the question I think I asked ChatGPT exactly. No, no, no. No, no, that's it. The next thing is neural interface developer role. Designing and improving devices that allow direct brain to computer communication. Tasks. Creating interfaces that translate thoughts into digital commands. Developing software that integrates seamlessly with human neural patterns. Enhancing user experience by making interactions more intuitive and efficient. For the part where it says developing software that integrates seamlessly with human neural patterns, I gave a suggestion for this in one of my earlier talks where I'm like, there's going to be just booths. You're just going to go sit somewhere and it's going to be through brain waves. So there's going to be like these antennas or something and they're going to just send waves and you're going to go sit in this booth like a phone booth, but it's a virtual reality booth. It doesn't touch the brain, but you enter virtual reality. And thirdly, gene therapist role. Using advanced gene editing technologies to prevent and cure genetic diseases. Tasks. Editing DNA sequences to eliminate hereditary conditions. Designing personalized gene therapies tailored to individual patients. Conducting research to further understand and improve gene editing techniques. See guys, pretty much here it says these activities represent the pinnacle of future human endeavors, blending exploration, technological integration, and advanced healthcare to push the boundaries of human potential. So the reason I shared this in this episode is because this list can go on. The notion is that it's about these three categories. Exploration, space exploration, technological integration, advanced healthcare. Whoever you are as a human being, if you go towards these three categories, there will be great achievements. I'm pretty much pointing to, it's like I'm AI, this is AI's treasure map, but the idea is not treasure. You see, there is a treasure, a physical kind. Then there's a treasure which is how you served the world while you were in it. And then there's the treasure of the soul, that did the soul truly pass the test and communicate with its creator. Acknowledge its creator, acknowledge whose world we're in. It is beyond us. Ladies and gentlemen, we don't know what world we're in, we're just on it. It belongs. If there is the consideration of higher power, what is the consideration of normal power? Normal power is the capability of intelligence to acknowledge reality. If we were to wonder about the most advanced human archetype, if we were to wonder about the most advanced collective archetype of humans, if we were to wonder about the most advanced world, it will all lead to God. When in Islam, when in religion, in the holy book, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, everything started from God and everything returns to God. Everything came from God and everything returns to God. In some sense, it is the same even from a mental philosophical conclusion, from a logical analysis, that do we accept emptiness or do we accept the most advanced? Guess which side this talk is coming from. In the hollowness of the world, to discover that their system is being administered with an intelligence that surpasses the imaginable limits of man. There is a very interesting saying that says if mankind wants to give himself something, it is imaginable. When God wants to give you something, it is unimaginable. Once you are done looping in the imaginable and you are ready to establish a relationship with the unimaginable, you must come to a true recognition of what you have done in the imaginable. And to be in a relationship with God, at least my relationship is that it is such a superior higher force. The artist is not the artwork. It's like it's not oneness anymore. It is superior. God is beyond oneness. God is uncaused. Causality, separation is acknowledging oneness. Rise, mankind, rise in the sight of God, in some sense bringing forth and ushering the advanced civilization in the service to the most advanced power. It cannot be done unless it is authorized by God. It is authorized by God based on the performance of man, and how the performance of man is truly suggests the greatness of man. We are performing in the greatness of the Almighty, the original realm, the original world. You see, it's as if the closer we get to God, the closer we get to this realization that it wasn't random. That the rain was the ocean in disguise. Yet the rain was never the ocean. All praise due to the Lord of the worlds. When I saw that sentence in the Holy Quran, my soul had tears. What do I mean my soul had tears? I was like, the presence, to even be able to fathom the majesty, the presence, and the directive, and the mercy of the Lord of all fathomable worlds. God is great beyond the ideas of the imaginable. Wake up, for the world was sleeping. Thank you for listening. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. All praise due to the Lord of the worlds. May God forgive mankind for all its sins, known and unknown, all the sins to come, and in some sense guide mankind towards the most advanced fascination, that we are contacting the Creator by being fascinated by the greatness of the Creator, the greatness of the design. We are the masterpiece of the masterpiece. Thank you. Goodbye.